2007 and 8 from getting worse than it was. In fact, the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, if you ever listen to what he has to say, you got to read between the lines sometimes to understand what he's really talking about, because he's an economic genius. But the Federal Reserve is on the macro level. Remember economics? You have a macro and the micro. The micro is what we deal with. The macro is in the Federal Reserve. They deal with monetary policy. They'll increase the money supply or decrease the money supply depending upon where the economy is. And they have a control over the interest rates. So they're right now trying to keep the interest rates lower because the economy needs to be stimulated. What's a synonym for stimulated economy?
Spending money.
Spending money. The whole system is designed on growth. What happens if people decide to save a lot of money and not buy iPhones and Blackberries, and people stop buying that kind of stuff? What happens to the economy?
Recession.
Recessions. The BlackBerry starts laying off employees because people aren't buying enough Blackberries. It's all based on growth. And from a Christian standpoint, I think that's dangerous. We need to understand what's going on in the macro level, but we don't need to participate. We don't need to play that game. I think for the most part, we're really way overspent. Way overspent. Well, the economy right now is not going to be stimulated very much because people don't have very much money to use to spend. And so right now, most of the investors in my personal clients, I'm recommending that they add a very serious component, increasing significantly an asset class in their portfolios to take advantage of growth. But it's not in the U.S. and it's not in Europe. Where do you think it is? China. India. Malaysia. And then I have my uncle who says, yeah, we're just shipping our jobs all over to China. I says, yeah, well, that's how we get to buy cheap tennis shoes and cheap clothes. So on one hand, we like to have inexpensive products, but we can't make those inexpensive products in the U.S., especially if we have the union control of the products where we have higher wages and all of that stuff. And I don't want to get into the politics of that, but you see what happens when we are actually, in some ways, and I know that at Grace Brethren Church, that it's a part of a whole segment of the Christian population that's concerned about the fellow worker, that's concerned about other people. When you buy products that are made in China, you're actually helping people raise their standard of living. And yeah, maybe they only make $2 an hour or $1.50 an hour, but it's a lot better than the 25 cents an hour they were making before. So in some ways, we're actually helping the economy when we have these jobs being made there. We just have to find different ways of making money here. Is it a dilemma when we ship good jobs over to China and India? Yeah, that's a dilemma. You're kind of torn. I don't really like to do that. But we can't make tennis shoes here that cheap. Anyway, I'm sorry to get off on that. Emerging markets, though, if you're not in your 401ks or whatever, find what funds are targeted emerging markets. And if you're not investing in foreign markets, about 30 to 40% of your portfolio, you're probably too low. Because the growth in Europe and the growth in the United States in the next 10 years is very low. By comparison to the rest of the world, it's going to be twice or three